now that I gave you a quick overview of the hardware, let's talk about getting some sounds into the MPC. What I'm going to do is I'm going to touch right here at the top of my main screen on the folder, and I'm going to hit new because I want to take you to where, don't save, take you to where the MPC starts up when you first turn on your MPC, what it looks like. Now, this is a preference, so it doesn't have to look like this, but by default, when I got my MPC live, when you turn it on, it takes you to your demo screen. Your demo screen gives you the ability to select different genres of music, and it will instantiate a project that has samples that are related to that particular genre or style of music. So remember, you have 10 gigabytes of content of samples on the MPC. This is a quick way to audition what some things sound like, and also just you can erase the sequence that's created or just go to a new sequence and start creating with those sounds, and then you can add other sounds. This is, like I said, a preference. So you can set this so that your MPC always opens to just an empty project, or you can set it where you can see templates, demos, and your most recent projects. But all of those things are set up in your preferences. I'm going to go to an empty project. So here at the bottom, it says empty project. If I touch that, it will take me to an empty project. All right, and now once I'm in an empty project, I can actually start to get some sounds in here so I can start to create. So there's nothing on the pads at all right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse over to some of the pre-installed content. So I'm going to double hit the menu button to take me into the browser. And then from the browser, I'm going to go to my drums category. Now, the MPC collects or stores samples, individual samples, but you can also have a collection of samples in a lot of different ways. So you can have a collection of samples in what's called a drum program. A drum program is basically like a drum kit. So it's a collection of samples that work together to make a drum kit. So it's usually kick, snare, or several kicks, several snares, several different hi-hats, open, closed, ride, and then probably some percussion. And then in the pre-installed stuff, you usually get some melodic stuff and some chords and things of that nature. You also have what's called key group programs, which if I select instruments here, that would show me my key groups. And key groups have samples that are mapped across the keyboard so you can play bass lines, chords, and things of that nature. Clips, we'll talk more about clips later, individual samples. So if you just want to find one sample or several individual samples and make your own kit, you can use that. For the ease of use today, I'm going to just start with some drum programs that are preloaded. What's great about the browser is it has a search function and filtering, right? So when I hit drum programs, it's already filtered to only show me programs. So what you're seeing here is all of the different drum programs that are available in that 10 gigabytes of storage that's there. So if I want to be even more specific, I can touch in here and then I can type in keywords to help filter that down to find the exact drum program I want. And I'm looking for some R and B drum programs. So I'm just going to type that in, say do it. All right. And then here, once I'm in here, I can just scroll to find all of the different drum programs that are associated with R&B. So I'm looking for this one right here called Soul Kit. Now, there's also an audition function that will allow you to actually hear the samples. So if I hit audition and put it on auto, when I select, it'll actually give me a demo of what those sounds sound like working together, right? All right, so what I'm going to do, I know I want this one right here. I'm going to go ahead and load it in. And also want another one. Let's see. This one. So I'm just going to work with those two drum kits to start out. So that's one way to get sounds in. You can just start with the preloaded content, right? But the MPC is also a sampler. Now, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Before I get into the sampling, I just want to show you, once those programs are loaded, I've went back over to my main screen. And once I'm in my main screen, you have where you actually start to create your music. So you have a sequence, and you have 128 sequences available to you. If I double touch here, you'll see I can just, double touch here, I can just scroll all the way to 128 sequences, right? And I'm just going to start with sequence 1 because we started with an empty project, so it's nothing there. Your sequences are made up of tracks. So you have 128 sequences, and you also have 128 tracks. So your tracks are here. Same thing. You scroll through your tracks there, right? So I'm just going to start on track 1. Now, your tracks have basically different types. You have to tell the track what type of program you're going to hold on it. So this particular track, by default, they're set to drum program. So those 2 drum programs that I just brought in from the internal content, they show up down here at the bottom at the program selected for the specific track that I have selected. So each track can have its own program. So essentially you could have 128 tracks with 128 different programs on there. And then each program can hold up to 128 pads of samples, and then you can have 4 layers of samples on each one of those pads. So yeah, you do the math, it's a lot of samples that you can have. Of course, that's going to be dependent upon how much memory you have left from your 2 gigabytes of RAM that's available to you on the MPC Live. So here I have track 1, and it's set to that R&B kit. So here are the kicks, claps and a snare, hi-hat, little conga there, synth basses, and then some chords that I'll use later on. If I go here and change this to the other kit that I brought in, then I get a different kit, right? Different kick, different snares, hi-hats, more snares, and some more melodic information there. So like I said, a lot of different samples and drum programs available to you just when you break the MPC out of the box. But of course, like I said, the MPC at its heart is a sampler. So this thing can be anything. It doesn't have to be drums. It doesn't have to be synths. It could be anything you can get into it. Anything you can get sampled and turned from analog to digital into it. This can be that instrument.